So you have an idea and you've decided to send it to your in-house patent committee or to an external patent attorney to check if it's patentable. So then they send you this form, which is known as an invention disclosure form. And as you're going through that form, you're just wondering how to go about filling that form. If that's your situation, then this video is meant for you. I understand that some of the questions that you will see in an invention disclosure form may appear to be slightly confusing or overwhelming. That's why I've decided to make this video for you. So the first thing to keep in mind while filling this invention disclosure form is that you want to make sure that you take the inputs from all the inventors before you submit the form, because some of the inventors might have some extra knowledge or insights which other inventors may not have. So make sure you run it through all of the inventors before you submit it. This invention disclosure form is very important because this is what is going to help your patent counsel to determine whether your invention is patentable or not, and also to prepare a high quality patent application. In case you find yourself demotivated or disinterested by filling this form, just remind yourself that this is something that is going to help you to get your patent granted. So let me walk you through some of the common questions that you will see in any invention disclosure form. Please note that each company or each patent firm might have a slightly different format, but the 10 questions that I'm going to talk about today are fairly common and you will see them pretty much in every invention disclosure form. So without much further ado, let's just move on to the first question, which is suggest a title for your invention. So this title has to be descriptive. It has to talk about high level the problem you're trying to address, and high level the approach that you're trying to use to solve the problem. The title should be about 10 to 15 words. You don't want to make it too long, right? And at the same time, you don't want to make it so brief that it has no suggestion about what the invention relates to. The second question is related to the problem that you're trying to address. What is the technical problem that your invention is attempting to solve? So please note that every invention is trying to solve a business need. There has to be some sort of an economic significance. Otherwise, there's no need for the invention. There's no benefit in terms of the market or for society. But then here in this particular question, you have to identify specifically the technical problem that you're attempting to solve and not just the overall business context. The third question is, what is your solution to this problem? And here you can describe the solution in brief. You don't need to go into the details when you're answering this question. Here we just want to understand what is the approach that you've taken to solve this problem, and high level, what are the features or components that you have used to solve your problem. The fourth question is, this is where you have to describe the existing or the previous attempts that people have tried to address the same problem, attempts to solve this problem. And not only that, for each such previous attempt that you are aware of or existing approach, you can also list out the disadvantages or the drawbacks of these approaches. Please note, in this particular question where we are talking about the previous attempts, we are talking about prior art. We are talking about the previous solutions. We are not talking about your invention. So here don't talk too much in detail about how your invention is better. Just talk about how the prior art is falling short of solving the problem. The fifth question is a description about your implementation. This is where you can dive in a little more in detail in terms of your solution and how it is implemented. If your system involves if your invention is a system, then you can provide a block diagram or a circuit diagram or a mechanical figure which shows all the features and the components of your invention first, and you can list out the names of these components and you can describe the functions of each component, which is important to your system. If it is a method, you can list out all the steps involved in the process one by one. What are the inputs which are being captured? How are they being analyzed or processed? And what are the outputs? So this is something that can be converted into a flow chart, whereas you yourself may not provide your attorney or patent counsel with a flow chart or a block diagram. It definitely helps if you list down all the blocks or the functionalities of your invention, as well as all the steps in your process. The sixth question is, what are the different implementations of your invention, or what are the variations of your invention? This is also keeping in mind that your competitors, when they're trying to copy your invention, right, they may implement it in different ways. So that's why it's good to kind of anticipate all these various implementations and list them out here. So another way of describing these implementations is what is known as embodiments in patent language. So here you can also describe examples, use cases, and experimental data. And particularly if you have experimental data which can prove the merits of your invention and the advantages of your invention, and if you have a comparison between how your invention performs with respect to the previous approaches or the prior art, that would be extremely helpful to help you to get a patent. Now the next question is absolutely important. This is, what are the elements or steps in your invention that you believe are new? So this question is very important because this is what helps us to figure out whether your invention is eligible for patent protection or not, whether it is novel and whether it is non-obvious, and what elements or features you should be focusing on in your patent application, right, that satisfy these requirements of novelty and non-obviousness. So here you can further segregate these elements into essential elements and optional elements. The next question is, what are the advantages that your invention provides? So these advantages could be technical advantages or they could be economic advantages. So primarily you can focus on technical advantages because that is what is going to help you to prove non-obviousness. So the technical advantages could be in terms of parameters such as speed, accuracy, utilization of resources like computational resources, power consumption. It could be in terms of efficiency. It could be in terms of the strengths of the material and so on and so forth. So these are the technical advantages. You can also talk about economic significance. So suppose your product costs like, maybe the price of your product is only 50% that of the existing products in the market, and you were able to do it because you use different components or materials or your process is different, then you can talk about those advantages here. The next question now is about whether your invention has been published or it has been disclosed to anybody outside of your organization. And if that has happened, or if you're planning to disclose or publish your invention or even sell it commercially, you can provide those details of when you plan to do these things. Now, this is very important to determine if there are any bar dates, because any of these actions like publication or demo or offer for sale or commercial working of your invention can affect the patentability of your invention. So in most countries apart from the US, if you have published your invention or if you have sold your invention in the public domain commercially, you automatically lose the rights to obtain patent protection. So it's very important to at least file a patent application before you do any of these things. The last and final question is, please provide a list of all the inventors or the people who have contributed to conceptualization of the invention, and you can also mention the name of the applicant or the assignee. So here it's very important to list out the names of the inventors, the nationalities, as well as the addresses, because the nationalities and whether they are residents of a particular, which country are they residents of, because this has a bearing on the international patent filing strategy, including whether a foreign filing permission is required, which country to file first, and so on and so forth. So once you have filled out all these details, you're ready to click on submit and share this with your patent counsel and take this process forward and help you to obtain a patent. Thank you.